what if I told you that there is an investment strategy that you have been overlooking that will probably generate the returns that you have been dreaming of? And what if I told you that you can invest and at the same time get to recoup some of the high taxes that you're actually paying? Because let's face it, taxes will continue to rise year in, year out. And this doesn't actually depend with who is in government. So what are some of the strategies that you can actually use to at least recoup some of the taxes that you're paying and also invest to generate a return? Now, if this is your first time in this channel, we usually discuss insurance and also other related types of investments. So please like and also subscribe in order to help the channel grow. You can also consider hitting on the notification button so that you're notified whenever we do a new video. Now, before I explain what exactly I mean by an investment that will generate returns for you and also help you with recouping some of the taxes that you're paying, I have a condition and also a disclaimer. Now, the condition is that you must take up a life insurance policy. And I do not mean life insurance as you actually know it. There's actually several types of life insurance policy, but I'll be explaining later. That was the condition. The disclaimer is that this will depend on the company that you actually take up the life insurance policy from and also the particular product that you take. Now, with that in mind, the investment strategy is a life insurance policy. And I know you haven't really taken time to think of life insurance as an investment, but shortly I'll be explaining exactly how you can do that. Now, there are different types of life insurance policies. Now, two of the most common are what you call pure life insurance policy and then endowments. Now, for pure life insurance policies, this pay out the sum assured only when you pass on. Yeah, so that's when the sum assured will be paid. So you'll contribute your premiums. Then when you pass on, the sum assured will be paid to your beneficiaries. This is not really popular to a lot of people since people do not want to set aside money to be enjoyed by others once they're gone. Even though this is a really responsible thing to do, because again, when you're not there will be some needs. You probably leave behind kids who need to be educated and a lot of other expenses that you might leave behind, including loans. But this is not what we'll be focusing on today. Today we'll be focusing on another type of life insurance policies known as an endowment. So an endowment is a life insurance policy that, number one, has a term limit. So for example, the term limit could be 10 years, 12 years, 15 years, or maybe even 20 years. So what this means is that life insurance policy will be running for a specific term. Yeah, it will be running for example, 10 years. So during that 10 years, you will have a life insurance policy. So in case anything happens to you during that term, the sum assured will be paid to your beneficiaries. These types of insurance policies also have another characteristic. At the end of that term, they pay out what is known as a maturity. So you need to understand two things. There's a sum assured, which will be paid if you happen to pass on during that term. And then there's a maturity, which will be paid out to you if you're still alive at the end of that term. So at the end of 10 years or 12 years, depending on the term, a maturity will be paid out. Now you find that for most companies, they usually pay out the maturity plus some bonuses. They can call them bonuses, they can call them dividends. So these bonuses or dividends are usually the money that you have contributed plus some earnings on top, yeah, depending on where they actually invested that money. So those are what you call endowments. Yeah, they run for a specific term, and at the end, they usually pay a maturity. So this is what we'll be focusing on today. These are types of life insurance policies that you can actually take up and earn some very good returns, again, depending on the company and the type of product that you have. Now, we'll be using some figures to illustrate how you can actually make some very good returns from this. So let's assume that you have taken up an endowment. which will run for 10 years. Yeah. And this particular endowment, you'll be contributing a premium of 10,025 shillings, yeah, every month for 10 years. This will give you a sum assured of 1,063,000 shillings. Now, this is the sum assured. What this means is that during that term, between the first and the 10 years, if anything happens to you, even after you have paid the first premium, the 1,063,000 will be paid to your beneficiaries. Yeah. So this is protection, but this is not exactly what we are focusing on. That is just the added benefit. What we are focusing on is something known as the bonus estimate. Now, for this particular product, if you take up a 10-year policy and you're paying premium of 10,025 shillings, the bonus estimate is 637,000. Yeah. So this is the bonus that you'll actually be receiving at the end of the 10 years. And this is an estimate because it depends on the kind of returns that the company will actually make from investing the premiums that you have been contributing. Yeah. So this will be paid on top of the premiums that you have actually been paying. So the maturity estimate in this case will be around 1.7 million Kenya shillings. Yeah. So you're paying 10,025 shillings every month. Then in 10 years, you're likely to receive 1.7 million Kenya shillings, depending on the rate of return that the company actually generates. So here, you will find that you have actually made around 637,000 Kenya shillings for contributing 10,025 shillings every month for 10 years. So the maturity estimate, like I said, will be 1.7. So you have already made some significant amount of money. But this is not the end. In fact, this is not why I made this video. I did this video because of something very few Kenyans are actually aware of. This is known as tax relief. Now, the government of Kenya actually gives a 15% tax relief to anybody who has a life insurance policy. Now, in our case, in the example that we've been using, you're contributing 10,025 Kenya shillings every month. And in total, you will find that you have contributed around 1.2 million Kenya shillings for the duration of the policy, that is for the 10 years that you'll be contributing. So if you factor in 15% of that, then that means that you will have received a tax relief of 180,000 Kenya shillings. So realistically, you will have contributed around 1,022,000 shillings towards your policy. Yeah. So in essence, you'll be contributing 1,022,000 shillings, and then in the end, you will actually receive a maturity of 1.7 million Kenya shillings. And it's important to note that this is a duration of 10 years. So if you're contributing for that duration of 10 years, you will contribute 1 million Kenya shillings, or rather 1,022,000 Kenya shillings. And in the end, you get 1,700,000 shillings. So you will have made around 700,000 Kenya shillings, yeah, give or take. So this is a really good return, but a lot of people are confused by one thing. You may assume that it's like investing 1 million Kenya shillings and then getting it as 1.7 in 10 years. It doesn't look like a really good investment. But always remember that you're not contributing that 1 million Kenya shillings at a go. Yeah, you're not being asked to contribute that the very first month and then wait for 10 years. No, you will divide the 1 million and you will pay it in bits. So you'll be contributing 10,000 Kenya shillings premium every month, and that is a bit flexible for you. So if you consider that, you will find that the returns are much better. Yeah. So this is one of the ways that people actually use life insurance policies to make money. And on top of that, you also getting the protection. Remember, like I told you before when I started the video, if anything happens to you during the duration of that particular policy, a sum assured of around 1 million Kenya shillings will be paid to your beneficiary. Yeah, and remember, you're only contributing 10,000 Kenya shillings, and even if you had contributed for like 3 or 6 months, that would be like 30 to 60,000. Your beneficiaries will still receive 1 million. So there's a commitment, and there's some protections that you'll be having throughout the duration of the investment. And in the end, like you can see, there will be a very good return that you'll be making from the same. Yeah. So I'm not saying that you should not invest in other types of investments, but you should definitely diversify your investments. If you're investing in a money market fund, for example, you should maybe invest some of that money in an endowment policy. These policies are very good, especially for education policies, due to the idea of protection. Yeah, just that in case anything happens to you, money will be available for your child if and when they're ready to go to school. Yeah. And like I was saying, it's also a very good way to diversify. So if you're investing in maybe treasury bonds, you can invest in money market funds. You can also invest some of that money to a life insurance policy, specifically maybe an endowment insurance, so that at least you'll be protected in case anything happened to you. Now, if you have any questions on the same, then please leave them on the comment section. And you can also get in touch with me using a contact that I'll be leaving at the end of the video. But until next time, have a good one.